Should wealthy over 60s be forced to pay for their prescriptions? In England, you do get free prescriptions if you're under 16 with particular medical conditions, on certain benefits, or if you're over 60. Across the rest of the UK, they are universally free, regardless of age or income. But we know from the winter fuel argument that there are a proportion of older people who don't need freebies. They can very well afford to pay if they need medication. So should they be coughing up for it? The government is trying to raise cash every which way, as we know. Is this a way of saving the government some money? Taking your calls on 0207 862 2222. Maybe you're over 60 and you need your free prescriptions, or would you be happy to pay for them? We'll start with you, Suzanne. I mean, what do you think about this one?
I think certainly if elderly are wealthy, then yeah, why not? We're at a crunch point here with the NHS and it needs saving. So if they can cough up, then I think so. And maybe it's not pressurising them so much to pay for it, but maybe a voluntary donation of some sort might actually go a long way.
And Carrie, I suppose some people are thinking, you know, you pay in and you pay in and you pay in. The NHS isn't free. We pay for it over a lifetime with our national insurance contributions and everything else. To wait to be 60 to get a free prescription, isn't that a long enough wait?
I don't think so. I think 60 feels really young. Aren't people in their 60s still working? A lot of people, not all, obviously. And if you need that money, and it, you know, £114.50 for a yearly subscription, because obviously lots of people have more than one prescription, don't they? So if you pay that yearly tariff and it's okay and you can do it, great. If you can't, then it should be paid for. But there should be some kind of, I don't know, with AI these days, can't you just push a button at the pharmacy that says, don't need to, I'll pay it? And certainly, whatever we consider to be OAP, I think that the level needs to go up a bit.
So are you saying there should be parity between the age you get free prescriptions and the age you get your pension, which for women is 66, now going to go up to 67?
Yeah, I think so. I think most of us are working right into our 60s. So, yes, but there are always going to be people that need that money, and for those, of course.
And Krista, your view?
I think a lot of those people will probably have those exemptions that are there at the moment, because if you're on regular medication, you can get an exemption, as you mentioned. However, I think you have paid into the system your whole life. And I think that this debate that we keep having nowadays about those people who are older who need to either give up their houses or give up their winter fuel allowance or give up their free pensions, that's because of continual failures of government up until this point. And so I think it's a bit objectionable that you've paid into the system all your life because of failures of government to get a grips on the NHS, get a grips on population, get a grips on infrastructure. You are the ones that should suffer. I don't think that's fair. So yes, free prescriptions for over 60s.
You think so, even if they're working, as Carrie says, and most people will be working?
I think your idea about some sort of voluntary, if you want to pay, just as people who wanted to give back their winter fuel allowance could, that's a great idea. But I think the norm should be that you get it for free.
And I wonder, though, whether the wealthiest of pensioners or the wealthiest of those over 60 will be having private healthcare anyway, will be paying for their own private healthcare anyway, and will be paying for their prescriptions anyway. So the very rich probably don't come into this equation at all anyhow.
Very rich don't come into it at all. I think there is also the thing of just because we paid in, I don't know, when I pay in stuff, I thought that was to pay for the people that can't pay. I didn't realise there was this big expectation that I'm then going to get something back. Where did that come in? Well, aren't we giving so that other people, the people that are less able, are covered?
No, you're also, I think, investing in your own future, in your own pension, in when you become that person who needs it back, that's what you are investing in. That's why I think we've got a real problem at the moment with our population and with our birth rate, because we're not going to have enough people investing in the system for long term. But yeah, I think that you have paid in. You have the right then, when you get older, to not have the rug pulled from under you and say, well, actually, you've paid in all this time, we're now changing the rules, and the expectations you have by paying in are now going to be taken from you.
I'm a bit sceptical about the whole, but a bit sceptical about the whole, you know, would you like to pay? You know, do you feel like you could have it free, but if you want to pay. I got something saying, do you want to pay more council tax? I just thought,
no thanks.
No thanks.
Would I like to pay more council? No, I wouldn't. No, the answer is no. Would you like to write it, fill fill in this form, honestly, from wherever it was, the local council? Would you like to fill in this form and say how much more you'd like to pay? Answer, no, thank you. I would not like to.
And I don't
know whether that
blame you.
means I'm a terrible person. I certainly didn't feel like it. And I certainly didn't do it.
I don't blame you for a second for that, but I think that with a prescription, you're actually receiving the medication. It's a tangible thing that you're getting. And so I wonder whether, you know, like sometimes when you go to a museum or something, they have a little thing and say, right, you want to pay a £5 to contribute. That would be the way to do it. I'm with you on council tax. Who thinks, great, I'm getting a great service, I want to pay more.
Money that they must have spent on this form saying, would you like to pay more council tax? I couldn't imagine anyone except, I don't know, a living saint.
It'd be good to see the stats on that.
Yeah.
To see
how
the
much
returns.
Absolutely.
I wonder if they've made money on the envelopes and the paper that they've sent as well. They might have made a loss on that.
Yeah.
I think, though, we're in a situation where you have got wealthy pensioners, and if they can contribute more, because we're at a situation where there's a certain generation of people who are suffering with the way the government have done things. So higher taxes and higher house prices, higher bills in general, higher food shops, and we're at a crunch where people can't afford to live, let alone buy prescriptions or do other things. So if there are a generation of people who can put in more, then I think, why not ask?
Let's go to Helen in North Yorkshire. Hello, Helen. Thanks so much for ringing. What do you think about this one?
I just think that the free prescriptions was brought in at 60 for the age that pensioners got the pension at 60. And since then, it's obviously raised, and you don't get your pension till you're 66 or 67 next year. So why don't they, for a start, raise the age so they don't get free prescriptions until at least they get the pension? Because a lot of people are working. I worked till, I was 71, so they can afford to pay the prescriptions. So raise the age at which you can get prescriptions to state retirement age.
I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? To put it in tandem so that it all goes at the same time makes a lot of sense and would save a considerable amount of money. Helen, thank you so much. Let's talk to Suzanne. Susan's just about to join us on the line. But the idea of, this ever-shifting sands of pensions. Nobody's ever quite sure at what age they finally get to draw their pension, or they're quite exactly what's going on. Yeah, Susan, hello there. Thanks for calling. What do you think?
Well, I used to run 20 pharmacies quite a few years ago.
Right.
And it shouldn't be aimed at wealthy over 60s. It should be aimed at everybody who receives their prescriptions for free. If everybody paid a nominal amount of just £1, I don't mean per item, then instead of ticking every box, because I don't pay for it, would be much fairer. Because when we used to have to clear places out where maybe somebody'd passed away, the bin bags full of stuff, and it all had to go to the incinerator, because once it was dispensed and left the pharmacy, it was actually a contaminated item. So if everybody just paid £1, not per item, but per prescription, it would make them think twice.
But Susan, talk to me about this. It's not as if people can just walk into a pharmacy and demand medicine or pills. They can't. So there must be GPs or consultants prescribing all this medicine that, as you say, then ends up in the incinerator because it's never been taken or used. So who is over-prescribing, and why aren't people taking the medicines they've got? What's actually going wrong here? And you would know, having been in charge of all those pharmacies.
Oh, yes, I was. But no, there's no regular checkups with people having a look at what they've paid before or what medication they're on. How often do they actually have their well-being check, regardless of age? No. And I've seen it, I'll tell you. The bin bags are full of stuff, everything from inhalers to everything else. No, and I did this survey years ago, and in one particular area, 95% of people were not paying for their prescriptions, and it was right across the age group.
OK, and leading to abuse of the system, obviously, if people have, have got bathroom cabinets full of medicines they don't use. Let's talk to Christine in Coventry. Christine, you wouldn't like this to happen, I hear.
No. Where do you draw the line at who can afford it and who can't afford it?
I mean, are you receiving free prescriptions at the moment?
I am. I get 13 items on my prescription.
13
And
items. God.
I'm 32. I'm 72, and there's no way I could afford to pay.
So it would.
A certificate would be less than £10 a month.
Yes. Yeah.
So to get the yearly
13
one.
items, my
I
God.
would love to know how much. For all of us, I would love to know when I go and get my prescription what the actual medication costs, and just to see how much people put into our NHS, because medication doesn't only cost £9.90 or whatever it is we're paying for prescriptions right now.
Yeah.
But if you've got 13 items, you get a yearly thing, so you're on £114.50 a year.